Hello YouTube, welcome to TheSlamDuncan channel. My name is Duncan White and this is my first ever video for YouTube. In this video, I'm just going to be introducing myself to you guys and also talking about what I have planned for this channel. I have planned for this to be an NBA channel. This is going to be where I talk my analysis and also bring some other content that I think you guys are going to like. Talk a little bit about myself though. Like I said, my name is Duncan White. I live in Illinois, and because I live in Illinois, my team is the Chicago Bulls. I am a big NBA fan, and my dream job would be to be an NBA analyst, whether that be for NBA TV, ESPN. If I could talk basketball for a living, that would be a dream come true. So what I have planned for my channel is to have videos similar to this setup right here. So it's like a face cam, and I'm just going to be giving my analysis of teams, players, games, preview matchups, predictions, stuff like that. An example, if you want to go look at what I kind of have planned, go check out King in the Fourth Quarter and his YouTube channel. Kenny does a great job with his NBA content. What I also have planned is to have NBA 2K content to be on this channel. I'm still in the midst of working that out right now, but hopefully I'm going to be able to bring NBA 2K content to this channel. I am a My League guy, not really a My Career guy, but I am a My League guy. I love doing rebuilds, so realistic rebuilds. I love doing those. I could do like expansion team, or I could be like the GM for the Chicago Bulls, and we can realistically rebuild the Chicago Bulls for however many seasons. And I also like doing those kind of random rebuilds where it's like the 5-minute rebuild challenge, or the My Team pack, picks your roster and you have to rebuild a team from what My Team picks you. So I am a big fan of doing those, and hopefully I can bring that type of content to this channel, but it's going to take a little bit of time. And lastly, what I'm also planning on bringing, and this is probably going to be like a staple in this channel, is I'm planning on starting my own podcast called the Duncan White NBA Podcast. And hopefully it's going to be every Friday. I can't guarantee Friday, but it's going to be a day like on the weekend where I'm going to be dropping my podcast episode, and I'm going to be, obviously talk about some of the, major headlines during the week, and then I also want to get to some of the under the radar headlines that have happened, and also kind of talk, my player of the week, most improved player of the week, rookie of the week, best team of the week, most disappointing team of the week, and it's basically just going to be like, a recap of what's going on, what happened during the week, and also kind of preview some of the matchups that night. So hopefully I'm going to be dropping that every Friday around 5 p.m. Central Time. Can't guarantee that, but I want to get it out before any of the games start that night. But games start at 6 p.m. Central Time, so hopefully I can drop it around 5 o'clock Central Time. For the podcast, I do have it planned that obviously I'm going to be posting the episode onto YouTube. You can watch me and also listen to me, but you guys can also going to be able to listen to it on podcasts.com, also listen to it on iTunes and Google Play. So you guys can also pull it up on your phones via iTunes, Google Play, and also watch the podcast episode. So just a little bit more about me. I want to tell you guys that I do have a Twitter account. My Twitter handle is at Duncan_White14. My Twitter is like an NBA Twitter. I do tweet out about games that are going on at the moment. If I'm watching a Bulls game, you'll definitely be seeing me tweet. And if a major headline or major trade drops, my initial analysis is going to be on Twitter. So if you want to just see my initial analysis or my initial thoughts on a humongous trade, follow me on Twitter. you'll definitely see my analysis on Twitter first. And also something else, I am in a podcast right now with my good friend David Bernauer. Our podcast is _NBA News Podcast. You're able to listen to that podcast via podcasts.com or iTunes and Google Play. And make sure you go check that out. David also knows his basketball very well. He's an Orlando Magic fan. And we have, I believe, 11 episodes currently out right now. Most of our episodes, unfortunately, were recorded in the summer. So that was when the draft and free agency was going on. We kind of had a month break in between, and then we are back to recording more episodes. We're going to try to get episodes out at least once every 2 weeks. Obviously, we want to keep current with the headlines and stuff like that, so it's important that we keep doing episodes. And even with this channel, I still plan on doing episodes with David for the NBA News Podcast. So definitely go check that podcast out and go ahead and listen to us. So before I wrap up the video, we can't have a video on here without talking NBA, right? So let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers trade for Jimmy Butler, probably the most major headline at the moment, besides the Warriors drama. But I do want to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers and their trade for Jimmy Butler. If you don't know, which you should know by now, but the Philadelphia 76ers traded Robert Covington, Dario Saric, Jared Bayless, and a second-round pick to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Jimmy Butler and Justin Patton. Obviously, Jimmy Butler has been trying to get out of Minnesota for a good amount of time now. I was very surprised that Tibbs actually kept Jimmy Butler for that long. But my initial thoughts, though, when I first heard about this trade was just like, wow, okay. I did not think the 76ers were going to be the team to get Jimmy Butler, but they did. So my concern about this trade is that the 76ers, they traded away two key pieces that were good shooters. And with Ben Simmons not shooting threes and still hasn't made one, and Joel Embiid only shooting 30% from three-point range, it was very important that there were multiple shooters out on the court alongside Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Now that you traded Robert Covington, who was a great 3-and-D wing, and now also Dario Saric, who can hit the three pretty well, the floor really shrinks adding Jimmy Butler. Now, Jimmy can shoot threes, he can make threes, but he's not a great three-point shooter. He's not Paul George from three-point range. He's not Kawhi Leonard from three-point range. But what Jimmy Butler does give the 76ers is another shot creator. And that's what the 76ers really needed. And they got that in this trade. One of the things that I did kind of notice when I was watching the 76ers this year, who had very high expectations, when Joel Embiid came off the floor, they usually left Ben Simmons out there to, run the offense and everything. But the issue with that was that they had no shot creators. Like Joel Embiid, because he can, post up, hit the mid-range, he can even cross people over. That's amazing for a 7-footer. The issue was that when he came off the floor, there was no ball penetration at all. Throwing the ball to the post, that is ball penetration. But not having that post-up option really limited the 76ers' ability to find open lanes and get to the rim and also kick it out to the three-point shooters. The only offense they were really able to generate was what they stopped the team on the defensive end, and they got the rebound. They just gave it to Ben Simmons and they just ran. It was a fast break up the court, and Ben Simmons had, usually like a wide open layup where he kicked it to an open shooter. That was the only way they were able to generate offense without Embiid on the court. Now that they have Jimmy Butler, he can get his own shot. He can create his own shot. He can also distribute the ball very well. So not only is it he creating his own shot, but he can create shots for others. And that's going to be very important when Embiid has to go off the floor. I am interested though to see who's really gonna take the dip in stats. In my opinion, I'm gonna say that Ben Simmons is really gonna have to take a step back right now, because he doesn't have a jump shot, and at the end of games, he usually has the ball in his hands, but the issue is they can't shoot from the free throw line. So now I think that they're gonna have Jimmy Butler run the show at the end of close games, and he's gonna be your closer or main ball handler at least, and then Embiid can also close the game as well. But at the end of games, you're going to see probably a lot of pick and roll with Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid to generate a shot at the end of close games, and they can both knock it down. They're both clutch players. So the 76ers gave up, defense with Covington, but they got the defense back with Butler. Butler is a second-team all-defensive team player, and then Dario Saric, they give up a shooting and some more post play. Jimmy Butler can play very well out of the post, so I don't think they really give up anything there. But what they did really give up is that three-point shooting and the ability to stretch the floor. And that is my main concern with this trade. So if I had to give them a grade as of right now, and they still haven't played, and I'm recording this on Wednesday, so they're going to play tonight. But to watch for tonight is how is the floor going to be spaced. Obviously, J.J. Redick has to start now, so I expect J.J. Redick to be in the starting lineup. But is the floor going to be spaced enough so that Ben Simmons can get into the lane and Joel Embiid can operate in the post? That's going to be something to watch for and see if this new big three can mesh and figure it out together. So I'm excited for Jimmy Butler. As a Chicago Bulls fan, I watched Jimmy Butler become an all-star. I think he's a great player, and I've always been a fan of him. So now that he's out of Minnesota and in the Eastern Conference, him, Embiid, and Simmons, they can really be a force in the Eastern Conference. But it's just a matter of can they find enough shooting and the right parts to fit around them so they can all live up to their potential together. And now for the Minnesota Timberwolves, obviously they just needed to move on from Jimmy Butler, so right there, mission accomplished. But I do think they kind of, took a step back in a sense. Robert Covington and Dario Saric, they're great players. This is no disrespect to them, but I don't really know where they're going anymore. And granted, even with Butler, I don't think they really had a plan. But now that Saric and Covington are there, it's going to give them solid players. It's just a matter of, is Cat going to finally elevate his game so that he's going to be averaging at least 25 and 10 a night? And can Andrew Wiggins live up to his first overall pick potential that he has? And can he find that drive to become a better player, become an all-star, become potentially a superstar? He has the athleticism, the shooting, and the quickness and speed to become a star, but he just hasn't become one yet. You could argue that Jimmy was part of that reason, but I would also disagree with that. Wiggins just wasn't able to work on his game at all, I guess. He just hasn't improved really since his rookie year, and that's kind of concerning in my opinion. So the Timberwolves, it's, you're depending on Cat, who got $190 million, who needs to become better defensively, but also continue to put up good numbers and be the number one option. And Andrew Wiggins has to become the second star for that team. But the main thing was to get Jimmy Butler out of Minnesota, which they accomplished, and that was the most important part of that. So for the Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm gonna say around a B plus really. It is interesting to think that they had the 4 first-round picks offered from Houston, but obviously they didn't want to trade Butler to a Western Conference foe, so they obviously traded him east. But I'm also kind of shocked they didn't take the Miami deal that was offered to him with Josh Richardson, who's playing very well for the Heat, and Kelly Olynyk and a protected first-round pick. Because in this trade, there was no first-round picks being exchanged, and that's kind of where I have like a little bit of an issue. For the Timberwolves, I thought they could get a first-round pick, especially from Philly, but I guess they couldn't. So if you're Philly, though, that's a win because you didn't have to give up a first-round pick, and you can potentially package that with something else. And not to mention the fact you got Butler's bird rights, so you got much more cap space if you're the 76ers also. So that's my thoughts on the Jimmy Butler trade. Obviously, the 76ers I think they've gotten better, but are they better than the Celtics at the moment? I have to say no. Are they better than the Raptors at the moment? I have to say no. And obviously, no one's better than the Golden State Warriors. But I do think, though, that they are better than most teams, including most teams in the Western Conference. So, was it a no-brainer for the 76ers? Sure. I mean, you're getting a star for 2 role players, but it also, it comes with risks. It looks like Butler's going to sign the extension, so that risk is out the window, but can they mesh? Can they be a team together? Can they all give up their egos and become one team? That's what I'm going to be looking to see. So there's my thoughts on the Philadelphia 76ers and Timberwolves trade. And hopefully Jimmy Butler can show tonight that he can, be a team player and not just be the number one guy always, but he can also be, second, third option and still be very effective for that team. So this is where I'm going to wrap up the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you go follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14. Also make sure on Friday you're looking out for the first episode of the Duncan White NBA podcast. I should have that episode out on Friday for this week. Again, can't guarantee later in the future, but this Friday should be the first episode of the Duncan White NBA podcast. Make sure you look for that. Before leaving this video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and go share this video with your friends. This is Duncan White, sign off for now.